going to have more of an impact on the game? George Kittle or Travis Kelce? Or Taylor Swift? Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Jeffcoat and Williams podcast. We're going to talk about the playoffs soon, but I just want to let you know I'm living proof that the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl. I am Jim Jeffcoat. I was on the Super Bowl teams of 92 and 93. Actually, 93 and 94. We won the Super Bowl. The good-looking guy here is Byron Williams, who is on the New York Giants, and he played in the NFC Championship game against the fearsome 85 Bears, the Bears. And
the
how did that work out?
Golden back then in 85, and they had the number one defense. So
they shut us out.
Absolutely.
They shut us out in 85.
Absolutely. I mean, Rex Wise was the head coach.
Tell us a little bit about your tell you a little story about it, because that was the game where the wind was howling that day.
Absolutely. It was in the minus degree temperature. The wind was blowing. I can remember Sean letting down and get ready to punt the ball. It was 0-0 in the second quarter up until that point, and the wind just took the ball and put it all the way over here, and they picked up the fumble, and they scored a touchdown, and that changed the whole momentum of the game. But it was a cold game. It was freezing.
Yeah. So let's get up to the point. We know that the Chiefs and the 49ers are playing in the Super Bowl, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's talk how we got to this point. Let's talk about how we got to this point.
Right.
Obviously, the Cowboys played the Green Bay Packers in the wild card session of the NFL playoffs, and they lost to the Green Bay Packers. And they should have lost. The Packers outplayed them. They outcoached them.
Right.
And I felt, in my opinion, that the Green Bay Packers deserved to beat the Dallas Cowboys. And I didn't put it all on Dak Prescott. I put it on the whole team, because defense didn't play well. Dak made some mistakes at the beginning that cost the Cowboys, but the defense couldn't stop, obviously, Aaron Jones and Jordan Love. And the receivers, they struggled.
Absolutely. Jordan Love, the game plan was spectacular. They was able to run the ball, and they was like Aaron Jones had over 120-some yards, 2 touchdowns, and a spectacular game plan. The defense was able to get an interception, score points when you can do that on your defense, and they had a complete game. The game was over probably in the first half, but Dallas didn't come back out and had a pretty good showing. But, of course, Green Bay have won a lot of games here in Dallas, here in Arlington, at the AT&T Stadium. And if you look up the record, Green Bay is outstanding in the playoff when they come to Texas.
Yes, they are. They really are outstanding. The question I had to ask you, if you have a team, and Dallas averaged about 32 points at home, and they hit their average, but Green Bay had, 48 points?
They had 48 points, exactly.
48 points. So Green Bay went beyond expectations, obviously. So who is at fault for this game?
Well, I think really the defense preparation was at fault. I mean, when you put in defensive back in your linebacker position, of course, Dallas did prepare themselves well, and Green Bay game plan was just outstanding. They was able to run the ball, and it was able to have the offensive lineman in the second tier of the defense, and it was a mismatch. When you averaging 5.8 or 6 point yards of carry, you are really dominating that game, and that's what Green Bay did. They dominated the game. Yes. And by the way, Dallas should have gone out to Leonard, the free agent linebacker from the Colts. And I think if they would have brought in a veteran linebacker, that would have kind of salvaged the defense, and that would have gave Dallas a better defensive linebacker to be able to play the way they should be able to play.
I totally disagree with that, because he had injuries. He hasn't been efficient over the last couple of years. That's why Indianapolis let him go. I totally disagree with that. Everybody's saying he didn't hardly play in Philadelphia, and we brought him in. You
have to have a true linebacker, Jim. We talked about.
But he's not a dog anymore.
You were talking about Derrick Henry as a running back. But I'm talking about Leonard as a linebacker. The linebacker, he's a Pro Bowler linebacker.
He was a Pro Bowler. He is not a Pro Bowler now.
Well, they didn't have no one to fill the gap on defense. It was a
And that is true, but he was an injury waiting to happen. That's why Philadelphia didn't play him that much. It's because he was an injury waiting to happen. It looked good on paper, but it wasn't a good choice to bring Leonard in.
Well, all I know, Green Bay had that number.
Yeah, but in Van Der Bregst, if he played, maybe it would have been a different game. Probably not, but there was a chance because you can't play a nickel defense and expect to stop the run.
Absolutely.
Some of the other games, obviously, Buffalo against Kansas City, and having Josh Allen, and thinking about that. Can he get over the hump? Can he really win a championship?
In my opinion, he can, and I thought that was close. I just thought, too, that there was another game that went down to the wire. And I think at the end, Patrick Mahomes just came out a little bit better edge. I mean, Buffalo had an opportunity, but yet, they said the kicker got to know the wind, racing over in that stadium. Little things like that you have to be prepared for. And I just think that, that bad bug bit them again, and they lost at the end of that game.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I like Josh Allen. Don't get me wrong. But being a quarterback, unless you win championships, that's always going to be an asterisk. Or I should say, really, unless you get to Super Bowls.
Right.
Because there's a lot of quarterbacks that have great stats. But if they don't get to Super Bowls, then what are they really? I mean, what are the stats worth?
Absolutely. Absolutely. For a quarterback like Josh Allen, they pay these guys big money, and he's so close. I just feel like he's really, really close, but they haven't played that complete game in the playoff yet. And, of course, it's hanging over their head. And then when he faced Patrick Mahomes, see, like Patrick Mahomes can overcome at the very end, fourth quarter. That's what they have to start focusing on, playing a complete game.
Very true, and that's very true. And Josh Allen's going to have to get over that hump. But there's going to be a different Buffalo Bills team next year. They have some free agents that are very important to them, and they have to be able to adjust to, obviously, I didn't think the Bills were going to win the AFC East, and they did.
Absolutely.
So they showed that they have some resiliency and
Absolutely.
things like that. But they're going to have to, and they got to figure out, can Von Miller be a force again?
Yeah, they got some things to figure out. I mean, when they went down and beat Miami the last game, that showed them that they do have some heart, and I just think they have a lot of experience, and they just really, really close. I mean, just a tip of the ice, and so little things that they can probably do in the off season to sharpen their players, the skill set of some of the things that they're doing, and of course. The head coach was calling some of the defensive scheme. Frazier was gone. Leslie Frazier was gone. So they had some adjustment that they couldn't quite get to where they can probably overcome that hump.
I totally agree. With losing Leslie, who is now the assistant head coach at the Seattle Seahawks. But Lamar Jackson, and when the Kansas City played Baltimore, I picked Baltimore. I'm not going to sit here and tell you anything else. I thought Baltimore had the opportunity to win the game. I think Lamar Jackson is one of the most exciting players in the NFL.
No doubt. No doubt.
And he's been an MVP already, and I love to watch him play. He's one of those guys I would play, in which I'm going to see him play in Dallas next year. He's one of the guys that I would love to see play because he brings that kind of excitement. He's like a better passer than Michael Vick, but that kind of talent. So I love those kind of players because they bring energy with them. But can he get over the hump? I thought this was his best chance to win a Super Bowl.
This past year, the AFC Divisional Championship game last week in Baltimore, I just knew that they were going to be able to come over the hump, and they didn't. They weren't able to. I think some of the plays, they got behind early in the game, and I think some of the plays with their wide receivers, as well as some of the things that they consistently do. But you got to give credit to Kansas City defense. I mean, they kept him in check. They cut down some of the angles and the lanes for him that he usually take. And they was challenging those receivers. DBs was challenging those receivers. And when they did make the plays and when they thought they had the momentum, for instance, like when Flowers caught that pass and he got up and he was called for taunting the defensive back, and then they had to create a penalty, that stopped the momentum of the game. And then he caught another pass about to go in and score. And of course, he got the ball knocked out and they formed the ball in the end zone. And so that right there just changed the momentum of the game. So now they'll have to fight back. But let me tell you something. When you give Patrick Mahomes time and consistency and angles, and then you have Travis Kelce out there catching those balls. I mean, he caught 10 passes in the first half like no other. You know, he's now all-time reception leader in the playoffs.
Very right.
So I'm thinking that's what you have to do. You have to stay focused on momentum, timing of the plays, and who could do the best things right. And so Baltimore didn't take advantage of home field advantage, didn't take advantage of timing of the playoffs, and didn't take advantage of getting ready to go to the next step, which would go to the Super Bowl.
That's very true. And the other player that I really was disappointed in is Roquan Smith. I had been touting Roquan Smith as one of probably the better linebackers in the NFL. And he, just like you said with Flowers, he made some bonehead plays that cost them. And they lost. I think, I always say this, is that pressure can break a pipe.
Right.
I think the pressure got to Baltimore because they hadn't been to a Super Bowl, I think it's since 2012. So those things affected them, and they didn't play like they had been playing. And we all know, you've been in championship games. I've been in championship games. It's different when you get in championship games because you're playing the best in the league.
Completely, and you and your error for mistakes is real small. When we make the biggest mistakes, start making those mistakes, and it shows up, and that's what happened. I mean, also, I think they was looking at the week before when they dominated the game, and then you just got to be complete. You play a complete game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and Andy Reid just know his stuff.
Let me ask you this question: when we're talking, since you brought up Andy Reid, is Patrick Mahomes the greatest player of all time?
As up until his point, from age 28, what he have done all the way up to his point the last 6 years in the National Football League, you know, they already compared him with Brady. And I think that's good, but I still say, you know, we can see if he can win this next week, Super Bowl 58, and then, you know, now you can start talking about, is he the GOAT? Is he going to be the next Tom Brady? But already, for his age 28, he has done more than almost any quarterback to ever play this game.
Here's my thing on this, and that's why I let you speak on it first, is that I think he's one of the greatest players of this era. It's hard to say that he's the greatest player of all time because there's been some great players in the NFL, such as, you know, Jim Brown, guys like Roger Staubach, and like you mentioned, Tom Brady, Joe Montana.
Right.
And they've had a lot of success in it. But it's hard to say the greatest of all time. That's some strong. That is the argument we get in with Michael Jordan and LeBron James. That is hard to say.
Now,
and yes,
you got to start putting in categories because one of the things, Jim, that we think about, back in the day they played 12 games. Back in the day they played 14 games. Now they play a 17-game schedule, 18-week schedule. So now you're in a different time frame when you get ready to put players in those numbers position. Back then, when I went in the 80s, we used to run the ball 60% of the time, pass the ball 40% of the time. Now they'll pass the ball 60% of the time, running the ball 40% of the time. Now you don't have these specialized defensive players to come in and play these skill sets. You don't have your dime, your nickel, your different defensive backs to come in. So the game have really changed.
Yes, it has. Yeah, because you do have the packages. But here's one of those quick facts. Let's talk about this. Did you realize Tom Landry, who won, he didn't win 7. He's been in the Super Bowl 7 times.
Right.
But he was Brock Purdy were the last pick in the draft. Did you realize that?
I realized that.
I think Brock Purdy,
He was
came in the
Mr.
first.
Irrelevant. He was Mr. Irrelevant. They always call that player Mr. Irrelevant, and they get
Yes.
special gifts.
Yeah,
And
they have a parade for him, correct?
correct. And one of the things that when I followed Brock Purdy's career at Iowa State, he started as a true freshman all the way through his senior year.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so his game preparation and his mental capacity for playing football was being developed while he was in college as well.
No question. And they said that, from my understanding, is that the brass did not want to draft Purdy. Shanahan wanted to draft him on that. And Shanahan thought he was a player, and he thought he had the skills that he needed. And Purdy is in a good situation. He's got Christian McCaffrey. He's got Deebo Sanders. He's got Brandon Ayuk. He's got George Kittle. I mean, he's got some talent around him.
Right.
And then he's got over there that kid from East Texas, Trent Williams, the offensive tackle. So
Trent Williams from Longview, Texas.
Might have, really, honestly, he might have 2 or 3 Hall of Famers around him.
Absolutely, and that helps. I mean, he come in and relax and say, your backside overprotected, but Trent is back there, and you got Deebo Samuel, and you got Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, and then of course you got that Kittle kid, number 85, that goes up and down the field, and he make plays left, right, down the middle.
But here's the question I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to have you opinion. We know Kittle, we know Kelsey. Who is going to have more of an impact on the game, George Kittle or Travis Kelsey? Or Taylor Swift?
Well, for sure Taylor Swift going to get the followers, but I think George Kittle going to have a better game.
Wow. You think so, huh?
I know so, because when I was saying the last week game when the 49ers wasn't getting the ball to Kittle, they realized that in the second half it was a complete dominance of 49ers offense in the second half where they played Detroit.
But you got to give Detroit Lions, what they did is come out and play a man defense, and they took Kittle out of the game. That's why Purdy had success running the ball. He ran the ball because they were in man coverage on Kittle. They did not let him. In the second half, they told Purdy to run, and he did. And he did well with it.
But you know what happened? Usually when you got a quarterback that's running, they go have a spot linebacker on that quarterback. So they didn't have nobody to cover that.
That is true.
And then when Brock saw that, he took advantage of it, and that changed the whole momentum.
But he hadn't done it all year.
I know.
Really run.
I know. So in the playoff, they just going to show you have to use all of your weapons and take what the defense give you.
No question. But hey, Byron, you talk too much. Let's get to our predictions.
That's what I'm talking about. Super Bowl 58. This is supposed to be one of the most watched Super Bowls in the history of the NFL.
You know what else it is? It's the most expensive one.
Absolutely.
Vegas is gouging people on it. 11,000, anywhere from 9 to 11,000 a ticket.
A ticket.
And then you got to look at to a ticket, but then you also got to think about you have to have somewhere to stay. And
wow.
The cheapest hotel you can get right now is $995 a night on the Strip.
Well, I'm already set to go. I'm locked in. I'm staying at my daughter's house, and guess what? I'm already set. I will be out there Monday.
I didn't want to tell you this, but your daughter emailed me and said, "Can you tell my dad he can't come because I'm using my house as an Airbnb?"
Well, she wanted to, but you know what? She called me and told me I go from you that she couldn't get that deal done. So come on out there.
Now, who do you think is going to win the game and why?
I actually think the 49ers going to win. I think that they have seen things go the other way, and I think it's going to be hard for the Kansas City Chiefs to win back-to-back Super Bowl. So that's why I'm giving the edge to the 49ers. I like the Chiefs, but I'm giving the edge to the 49ers.
Well, this is the way I look at it. I like the 49ers. I think they have more talent. But believe it or not, we beat Buffalo twice in the Super Bowl, and they had probably more talent than we did. but I think Kansas City's on the mission. They probably got the best, like I said, the best quarterback of this era. I think it's going to come down to the defenses, which defense plays better. And I think the 49ers are going to have problems playing against Chris Jones. I think Chris Jones he is a very talented player.
Well, the good thing about this Super Bowl 58, we both love Baltimore. Now we're going the opposite. So I'm taking the 49ers.
Yeah,
You're taking the Kansas City.
I like that because most of the time I'm right. So I like Kansas City.
Good. I think I'm right this time too. So we'll see what happens in Super Bowl 58.
Oh, we will see what happens. But I think the receivers are going to help them because I don't know how good 49ers secondary is. Their linebackers are good with Greenlaw and Warner, but I question some of their deep end guys.
Well, I think they can. I was just going to say, I hope that Tony don't line up offside. So maybe.
He's complaining about if he's going to play.
I know it. He's worried about it. He's worried about it.
Yeah. He
Man, you can't. This is not a Cadillac. You can't get 9 lives and think you're going to continue to play. Man, you better straight up and fly right.
Yeah, you got to fly right, or this is not participation.
Absolutely.
You don't get a participation trophy.
Yeah.
You got to do it the right way.
You with the big boys. You with the NFL. Yeah. Super Bowl 58 going to be outstanding. I
don't know if I can say this, but we used to always say that if you want to run with the big dogs, you can't pee like a puppy.
And you know what? Usher called me over the weekend. Since I'm going to be out there, he wanted me to come up there and dance on stage with him. You know, I got those.
Oh, God. Here we go. You can't dance. You never could dance.
We got all kind of moves, baby.
Yeah. You know, that was my first concert ever, Parliament Funkadelics.
What were you doing? The funky chicken or what? What were you doing? The robot?
We were doing the flashlight. Everybody got a little light in.
I remember that. Little flashlight going now.
Yep.
Super Bowl 58 is coming.
Super Bowl 50 is coming. It's coming. But hey, we'll be back and check us out. Jeffcoat and Williams. We're gonna give it to you straight.
Absolutely.
We're gonna give it to you. And we talk about everything, all sports.
See you soon.